Good morning. This is Blockchain University's session 6 of cohort 3 in San Francisco at Price Waterhouse. I'd like to introduce you to Thomas France of Ledger.
Hey, hello everybody.
Hello.
So yeah, I'm Thomas from Ledger. So Ledger develops a Bitcoin security solution to store, handle, and sign Bitcoin transaction in secure environment to make Bitcoin safer. So just to know a bit more, what is the context of you guys? Are you all familiar with Bitcoin? I guess you made a couple of sessions about Blockchain University. So are you Bitcoin developers or not? Are there any developers here?
Yeah,
Are there some people just like interested in Bitcoin?
5 or 6 or 7 or 8.
And there's some people from PricewaterhouseCoopers, right? Just one. Okay. And the rest of you? Or are you like just like enthusiasts or?
From everywhere.
I'm good.
Okay.
Thanks.
Great, so just a few words about us. So what we do, we design like security solution to keep Bitcoin safe. We want to leverage like secure environments that are existing almost everywhere to store the Bitcoin data, sign the transaction in those trusted environments. So we're a team of 15. Mostly based in France, in Paris, and I just arrived like in Paris, in San Francisco a couple of months ago, just after we finalized our first seed round. And we have a lot of experts from that cybersecurity industry, where a lot of people, this industry is actually based in Europe, and we've got in our team some of the great experts in that industry. So, you know about Bitcoin, you know that if Bitcoin is reversible, it's decentralized, peer-to-peer, and if you lose a private key, if it gets compromised, you lose your money. You all know that. And yeah, it's like digital cash. So you know how to secure a $100 bill, and you put it in your pocket, and you secure your pocket. It's not the same thing to secure like just a file on a PC, a file on a smartphone. So security is definitely a big issue, a major pain point for Bitcoin, and there's a lot of people actually working on finding ways to make it more simple and more secure. So let's say I'm going to go through a certain number of approaches that you can take to secure your Bitcoins, and after making like a deep dive in hardware security and the way it can handle that. So the first approach is I don't want to be bothered by that approach, let's say. So you kind of delegate the security of your private keys to a third party. So you can either like transfer the ownership of your Bitcoin to Coinbase, Xapo, or Circle. You give them the private keys, they handle the security for you, and you've got access to email, password, and IOU to use your Bitcoin. So it's actually a pretty popular approach because it makes it easier not to worry at all about securing these private keys. And you see that these companies actually have quite a lot of traction to make it simple for users to store their coins. Another approach is, let's say, you get a decentralized wallet and you kind of pray that no malware is going to fetch it. Decentralized wallet, I think you made a session on that, so it's wallets either on mobile like Bread, Mycelium, Blockchain, Armory, and a decentralized wallet where you own the private keys that are stored either on your computer or on your phone. So there's some ways to mitigate the risk, of course. Try to have a clean computer. It's feasible, but you're never 100% sure. You can, there's some level of trustworthiness of some platform. For example, Bread, they kind of encrypt the private keys on the secure enclave of the mobile phone, and they just retrieve them to sign the transaction. It's in Apple sign package, so makes it more secure that's on some Android platforms. So there's some level of trustworthiness when you choose your wallet to make it as safe as possible. Other approach is like to mitigate the risk by using multi-signature wallets. So instead of having one single point of confirmation, you've got like your keys that are in different areas. You've got one on your phone, one on a server, one on a backup. So there's no, if you lose one, it's okay. You can always retrieve your phone. So there's some different schemes that are available. You can do like a popular one or like 2 or 3, but you can do whatever you want. In CoinKite, for example, they have a simple service to let you perform like whatever scheme you want, up to 15 of 15. So if you want to make a multi-signature very safe on that, you use something like whatever of 15 and to sign the transaction. So far so good. Any question maybe or any comments?
Whose logo the book? It looks so small.
Ah yeah, well, Bitcoin logos, you've got a B and a shield. So this is a green address.
Okay.
So it's a wallet, a Chrome app and a mobile app on Android that it does some multi-signature with 2 of 2, for example. And this one is BitGo. That does multi-sig. Got a consumer wallet and they also have like enterprise wallet.
I don't know, just a quick question about green address, .it. Can you use the ledger on that? I know HW1 integrates with it.
Yeah, you can use
I don't know
Ledger
why.
as well on it.
I don't know why I'd want to do both, but I mean, so you could do them for both, huh?
Yeah, definitely. It's like so green address does 2 of 2. The user has a key. The green address has one, a co-signing server, and yeah, you can use it either on your phone, either on your Chrome app, and indeed you can use a hardware wallet. It can be Ledger, it can be Trezor, it can be other hardware wallet to have like one of to hold one of the keys. There's one key that is held on a hardware wallet, and one on the server side. Any other question? Have some of you used what wallet do you use so far? If you have some bitcoins.
Coinbase.
Okay, so the Coinbase approach is actually quite
BitReserve.
BitReserve. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you know, Ledger, green address, Mycelium, all the others, but with green address, they hold the key, but if they go bankrupt, let's say, they say, well, their key depreciates over time, and then you could release the funds later. I don't know. I mean, it always seemed kind of ad hoc. That, you know, because they also have to sign in on a transaction. And the idea is that, well, what if they go bankrupt? Well, they're not there to sign.
Yeah, well, they release the keys, and you can on this one they have a key releasing mechanism, I guess, to make sure to get everything.
It's part of their terms of service?
I don't know on this one, but on this one
No, but it's 2 of 2, right? So you're trusting that somewhere, somebody with them is holding the key. I mean, if they lose, if their servers get nuked or whatever, you lost your funds forever.
Well, that's what, but they say on their website that in case of that, they go, no, our key depreciates over time, so after a certain amount of time in the future, you could then release your funds with just your key.
Is it using unlock or
Yeah, it's depreciated.
on this one, you can ask Lawrence on green address. I'm pretty sure there's a mechanism to make it as stressless as possible. Okay. So yeah, so in any case, using like a decentralized wallet, even if you encrypt it, even if you lock them somewhere, if you are going to perform a transaction, there's one stage where the private keys are going to be like unencrypted in the memory of the phone or the computer, and the malware just have to wait and fetch the private keys, and there can be some major problem for that. So there have been some hacks as of today. It's just like it's not like very popular among let's say Russian hackers to target like Bitcoin. They still target like credit card data, but at one stage there will be definitely some real big problems if some theft are made like this. We've seen there was a couple of theft on the blockchain on different wallets, and always create like some massive pain points. So there's a solution. It's using paper wallets. So you generate it offline and you never expose it to the network, and yeah, your Bitcoin are safe. But yeah, you don't want to use a paper wallet to make an everyday transaction. And every time you want to use that paper wallet, basically you're going to have it exposed to the network, and there will again be a risk that private keys get compromised. So from that, what is needed? It's really something where the keys are generated on a secure environment, where the keys are stored outside of the network, so just like on the paper wallet, not exposed to the network. The signatures that are made offline, because I said on Bitcoin wallet, on a paper wallet, when you use a standard wallet, it's going to be, well, on the computer that is exposed to the network, and where only public information can be broadcasted to the network. So just like just public information that are on a computer, no big deal. And a dedicated piece of hardware can definitely do that. And that's yeah, Bitcoin hardware wallets are what they are trying to achieve by making it having like the private key stored on a dedicated enclave, signatures made on that dedicated enclave, and just like have the public information that are broadcasted from that device, either the TX, the signature of the transaction, or the public key. So there are on the market today, there are two of them, so Trezor and ourselves. So Trezor has been around for a few months more than us, and Ledger we representing. There's a couple of other hardware wallets that are in the process of being launched. Maybe you've heard about Cool Wallet. There's also Case Wallet. So there's a couple of them that shows that it's a healthy market to get some competition on that. But yeah, I'm still going to make a little focus on us for this point. So Ledger, it's a bit different from the other one because we are a hardware wallet based on a secure element, a smart card. So maybe you're not familiar with smart card because it's not something that is very popular in the US. It's starting to. You've probably seen in your new credit card that you've got like a strange golden chip, and you might wonder what this is all about. Well, it's a technology that has been around in Europe for like something like 30 years, and they have been doing a great job at securing credit card transactions. So it's basically a secure microcontroller on which sensitive information about your credit card is stored, and signs a transaction and just broadcast the signature that proves that you have the signature. So instead of just like swiping and giving the information of the credit card on the air, you just give a transaction that is public and that doesn't compromise your data. So it has been doing some great stuff at protecting credit card data, and we basically use that same technology, that same expertise, to apply it to Bitcoin. That is pretty similar in terms of cryptography, to store the private keys on a smart card and sign the transaction within that smart card. So yeah, we developed like an OS that runs on very low-level secure element. Our team has been working on specific smart card OS for more than 3 years and adapting it for Bitcoin for more than 2 years. It's really built on the same kind of secure element that are used on your passport as well. You've got like a little SIM card, whatever. It's the same thing. So it's like the sensitive data that are stored on the secure element. Smart cards, SIM cards are doing the same. There's a lot of secure elements that are being used to keep secrets. And yeah, the way it works, so that was a backup in case it didn't work. I can show you in real. So it works with a companion. Is it this one? Oh no, that's not the good one. Up. So yeah, the way it works, it's something that it's a smart card that also works with a USB. So it's a USB smart card that you put in your USB port. It's going to prompt you for a PIN code, So same thing on the credit card. If you put 3 times the wrong PIN code, it's going to erase it, and just the key is going to be back in factory mode. Up. So that's when I already have some points on it. But when at the first stage, when you initialize it, it's going to pick you like a HG wallet, so a bit 39 seed, that you will have the ability to write down a set of 24 words that you write down, and you can restore it on any compatible wallet. So it can be another ledger, it can even be like Electrum, Mycelium, even Trezor. It's very interoperable to restore it in case we have a problem as a company, or there's a problem. You can always get your funds thanks to BIP39 HD wallets. And yeah, what you see here is just like the client of this server that just broadcasts some public information. So here you've got like information about my public addresses, with my the amount I have. I can send Bitcoin, receive Bitcoin, and everything that is on my computer is just like public information, and everything that is private and compromisable is on that hardware wallet. So when I logged in, it was going to derivate my seed, get my public addresses, go and query the blockchain to show it on this interface. And
Could you explain that a little bit more?
so when I plug it in, I put my PIN code. So on the secure element, on the smart card, I'm going to derivate my seed to see what public addresses I have on that, what private keys I have on that device. It's going to get the public keys out of the private keys, all that on the secure enclave, and it's going to broadcast the public keys to query the blockchain to see how much I have on each of these public keys. So it's going to I'm going to be able to build my amount I have, the history of my transaction, without showing to the network any private information.
Can you talk a little bit more about that seed piece you mentioned, the seed?
Yeah, so the seed, it's one of the BIP improvements, so it started with BIP 32 and 38, 39. It means that it's a master private key out of which you can generate as many private keys as you want. So it means that on standard wallet, you had to generate a private key every time. So you had a bunch of private keys and you had to remember all the private keys. With this HG wallet, so a hierarchical deterministic wallet, you just need one master private key to derivate as many private keys as you want. So it's much more easier in the way that you just have to remember one master private key instead of 1,000 of private keys. And with some further improvement in the protocol, so BIP 38, BIP 49, you are now able to let's say translate this master private key into a human-friendly set of words that you can remember or back up. So it's basically like 24 words that you write down.
So when you insert that, it launches a software, it looks for the HD key, and can you walk me through a little bit more of that?
So when I plug it in, I put my PIN code, so I know that I am the owner of this one. It's going to ask the smart card to see what, out of the master private key, what derivation you can get that has some Bitcoin associated to it. So it's going to get all these this list of private keys. It's going to determine the public key out of that, and all these addresses where some Bitcoin lays on that. I'm going to query the blockchain and see if there's some amount attached to that.
Thanks. I'm a little slow.
No problem.
Does your when you connect that device to your computer, is it okay for the computer to be connected to the internet at that point in time, or should it be unconnected?
So when you generate the key, it must be in a safe environment.
Right.
So the very first time you initialize the wallet. Afterwards, for general usage, it's okay in a way that there's a strict compartment of information that is sent between the device, the computer, and the smart card. And smart cards have different layers of validation to validate that the data that they are receiving and the code that it is executing is the one that should be running.
So in other words, if, let's just say, I mean, is it feasible for malware to be sitting on my laptop waiting for me to plug that in? And then the second I plug that in to put in my PIN and initiate that, the malware reaches into the device, grabs the information, and boom, back out to whoever put the malware on.
No, so you cannot like dump the memory of, you cannot dump the information that are on the device. So by specification, we initialize the wallet never to do that. The only attack that you could imagine would be a man-in-the-middle attack. Saying that, for example, you could change the destination address and the amount when you initialize a transaction, and instead of sending 1 Bitcoin to you, your malware, and you say send 10 Bitcoin to my address or
right.
wherever. And to prevent that, we have a second factor validation, on which you have like a corresponding key. So when you sign a transaction, I'm going to show you to be easier. Because otherwise, it's not possible to have the seed leak the device. It's really like it's by design. It's designed to keep the secrets on a secure element. So I was talking about a possible like man-in-the-middle attack. So let's say I want to send like 1 BTC to this address. I'm going to spend. So what is going to happen here is you're going to ask like for verification of the transaction, meaning that the card wants to know that the one who is initializing the transaction is you and not a malware. Or and basically the way we do that. So I don't know why it's slower than this one. You've got like a corresponding key that is paired uniquely to every device. So it means that, so it's like, maybe you've seen that in some banks you are using. It gives you like some correspondence, letters and words and all that. So basically it's going to tell you, you want to send some Bitcoin to that address. So you're going to see if you're going to verify some of the destination address, some letters and words of the destination address, so that the chip will be able to see if what you are signing is what the chip is actually signing. So in this way, it makes it you cannot like put a malware directly sitting and changing the destination address. So that's the method number one. Method number two is that you just have an app. When you initialize the transaction, it's going to push you, and you are going to confirm on your phone that the transaction you are building is the one that you actually want to build. Cool.
You know, I was just thinking, a feature that would be kind of neat, I don't know how the utility of it, but with the receive, so you could sweep a paper wallet, since we were just talking about that. I mean, that would be maybe of some utility, that when you hit receive, you could say sweep. And
definitely, it's something that is on the to-do list.
Oh.
And clearly, it's something that could be interesting and worth looking at.
Yeah.
It's really on our Asana list. and we want to do it for sure.
Also, I was thinking about, that question made me think about in an enterprise solution or enterprise environment, if you had, let's say, 100 of these you wanted to push out to end users, the initial setup and getting the keywords could be somewhat of a challenge. If you had a software package to do that initial setup, that would, of course, compromise the system. Is some individual would have the seed that could then decouple it, but if you have the secondary factor and you trusted that person, your IT folk, your IT person, might make it easier.
Yeah, on this one, definitely, we really provide like hardware and software to Bitcoin in safe way. After there's some different implementation of it that you can do on an enterprise solution. You can really imagine like having some people like initializing like whatever 100 hardware wallets with different access to different accounts and sub-accounts for each of them, and then deploy it to somebody else. It's just that we don't provide those tools. We could help a company develop those tools and support, but definitely something that's feasible. Right now, we're really focused on developing the hardware software on that, but it's some stuff that we kind of see closely. Depending on the demands that we get from potential partners. That was just like the screenshot version in case you were not internet. And really, as I said, we really want to make this as open and interoperable as possible. So the firmware, the very low-level firmware, is closed source because of the tight NDA that we have like with the chip manufacturers. But it is really like open spec. We have a very, very detailed specification to show how the chip and the smart card reacts to different information, so anybody can actually test it openly and see that it actually acts the way it's supposed to act. And yeah, we've got like a set of APIs for third-party wallets or service to kind of leverage hardware security on that. And we already like integrated with Mycelium, Green Address, CoinKite, and there's many more that will be coming in the months to come. Would use like some smart cards to make their services safer. So yeah, it's cool to have a dedicated device to do that, but it's a pity that you actually need an extra device for consumer adoption. We know that it can be a break for people to actually own another device. So far it was pretty good. We already sold a couple of thousand of them, like in more than 70 countries. It's going well, but for bigger adoption, we're pretty sure we need some safe, some easier solution to be working that. And this was the first secure environment we had access to. But there are many secure environments like everywhere. You've got some in your Android, on your phone, on your computers. And this one that is the most accessible one is the one on the Android phone powered by Trustonic, which is called the Trusted Execution Environment. And the Trusted Execution Environment is something that was developed by the Trustonic is like a joint venture between Ouverture, Gemalto, all the guys that were doing the SIM card, and they say, okay, we've got a problem, the SIM card is not going to exist in a few years, so I want to develop some other kind of secure environment on the mobile phone, and they developed like Trustonic. And we partnered with Trustonic to be able to deploy the Ledger OS, the Ledger technology, directly on the trusted execution environment of the mobile phone. So it means it's like a downloadable, virtualized hardware wallet that you can download on your Android phone, and to have some similar level of security for your Bitcoin. It means that the private keys are generated, stored, handled, everything is signed on a trusted execution environment that is really isolated from the Android OS, and that just communicates with very compacted ways of communication. And this is going to be live in a couple of weeks, in 2 weeks, as we say in the Bitcoin world. So it's going to we're very close to a beta with mycelium and green bits that will be integrating that. And just the way it works. So this is an Android Samsung I don't know whatever Note 4 I think on which we are like initializing. So this UI is actually this screen is actually powered by the trusted execution environment. So and the initialization takes part on the trusted execution environment. So the first time you kind of generate a pattern, so that you know that every time you will see that pattern, it will mean that it's the pattern of the trusted execution environment, and it's your own, and you know that it's yours, and that no malware can just like place a face screen in front of you. So you create your PIN code again. It's going to same thing as on the Chrome app. It's going to create like your seed with 24 words that you kind of write down to put it up. You can restore your seed if you want directly here. And when you have like when you create a transaction, so you're going to create the transaction on your normal wallet, either a Ledger Wallet, on the phone app of the Ledger Wallet, or Green Address, or Mycelium, or the others that will be integrating it. And you kind of have the standard user flow. You scan a QR code, you copy paste, you create your transaction, and at the moment you press send, you're going to be redirected to this trusted execution environment, and you will have like the account of the transaction summary with the destination address, the amount, the fees, and whatever. And when you confirm, it's going to redirect you to your wallet, Mycelium or whatever, with the public TX signature of the transaction that will be then broadcasted to the network. So in this case, all the management of the keys, signatures.
Attention, attention. This is your building operator. The engineers have completed their elevator testing. Thank you for your cooperation. Attention, attention. This is your building operator. The engineers have completed their elevator testing. Thank you for your cooperation.
Now the parade can come up the elevator.
So yeah, but that was almost the end actually. So saying that everything that is sensible is treated on a secure environment. So this everything as I said is very open. You can find it on GitHub. There's a lot of people trying to integrate that. And with one set of API, you can work directly on a smart card, on the trusted execution environment, or basically on any kind of secure environment you want to have access to. The last thing we are working on for the end of the year is to have like server-side application with the ability to have this.
What is the right one?
The right one is another product we're working on. It's a smart card. Credit card form factor with a screen, buttons that will be able to, it will be a high-end product with a screen, buttons, and NFC and Bluetooth Low Energy connectivity so that you'll be able to use it on your iPhone very easily. The Ledger Blue.
It's a card reader basically?
Sorry?
It's a card reader?
No, it's not compatible on the Visa MasterCard network. Today it's like Bitcoin only. Too much hassle to be added, to have it compatible on a Visa network today, certification-wise.
So why is it like a credit or debit card then? Like why that shape? Like why that?
To fit in your wallet, to have something that recalls security and use of money with it. Yep.
Are you developing that card yourself or your partner?
No. Clearly we want to do things in a lean hardware way. When you deal with hardware, if you do it yourself, if you're not a specialist, you get like, if I look at Kickstarter, you get like 2 years of delays every time. So this one, yeah, We get people in France doing the smart card. We assemble it here. We buy some part in China. And for this one, yeah, we partner with some people that do some display cards and that have been doing that for many years and who are expert on that. Our core technology is really on the OS, on the OS that runs on secure environment. And the last thing we're working on is adding some server-side application on hardware security modules, so which is basically the same philosophical concept as the secure environment, but for server-side application. And we'll be adding like a server-side solution to sort of keep Bitcoin safe. And I think that's it. And if you have like any question, I would gladly answer them. And I've got like a couple of Ledger wallets. If I've got 4 of them, if some people are interested as a gift.
Oh, I know Jeff,
For them, so
Peter, and
It's gotta be.
there's too many people. I will leave them here, and you will. You make the
Jeff is for
distribution.
doing all this.
Oh, no, absolutely.
Peter's come from Seattle, loyally. I don't know, I think the vultures need to fight for the rest of these things. We'll figure out something else.
What's the address, the website address?
Ledgerwallet.com.
Okay.
And this one we normally resell it for 29 euros. So it depends, $30, 45, depends on how the risk is going. So yeah, and it's and we want this this version that is like our low-cost version with the price to go down, and with higher batches we can reduce this cost to maybe $5 or $10. That's our aim in the next 24 months. With volume, we want to decrease the price to a very cheap and secure, reliable solution for Bitcoin.
For presenting today, and only we even offered one too.
All right.
Question?
Very cool.
Thank you for the gifts. And so I'd like Ross to introduce himself, and also Brad is going to present just a couple things.